a sense, we can look into this collective consciousness, this collective vibe. Dr. Bruce Lipton is a cell biologist, again, based out of California. He talks about our body being, something like 30 trillion cells. So there's all these cells that are just communicating via a signal. And that signal is a code, and there's a protein coat on the outside of each cell, which is like a padlock to that signal. And that signal is us. So our body is more of a habitat for viruses and bacteria. Something like 90% of our body weight isn't actually our human cells. It's all this other stuff living in our body. So our body is this incredible network of cooperation. And our cells are just tuning into the signal of us. So we are a signal. We're not even in here. We're out there and in here, but we're kind of riding this body of cells for a time until we take a new body. So in that sense, there's this collective signal between humanity. If you think of all those bodies, the cells in the human body, and then you think about all the humans around the earth, and think of that as one body. So there's a collective signal that has become distributed around every human. When you look at a lot of channeled documents, particularly Pleiadian documents, they talk about humanity as one entity. When you ask these, when the interviewer asks the person who's channeling about individual people, it's often a stress or a point of confusion to the channeled energy because they see humanity as one. So we're this one collective signal, like the signal in our body with all the cells. There's the one collective signal of all the people around the planet. And, if you're going to get really analytical about it, you could say maybe that's what God is, this collective signal. And Alan Watts talks about this in the sense of God decided to get lost and went out to learn, to pick up lessons, and to almost create karma, then alleviate that karma. And that's that kind of karmic trap that a lot of us are in. We take a body and everything's clear, and then we make mistakes, and then we have to re-experience those mistakes. And that's a universal law, to experience our own creation. When you create a reality for another, particularly a negative reality, you must experience that reality. And that's interesting in the sense that often those karmic flip-flops happen in our next incarnation, or start to happen in our genetic line. Something Jesus Christ said is, he said, we will inherit the sins of our ancestors. So you must come into this ancestral karmic responsibility in our family line. We often have this illusion that our whole family and our grandparents and great-grandparents must have been really sweet, wonderful people. And that's quite an illusion. And so much of what was created on the genetic line seems to be lived out karmically in present. So with the work I do with people, we often deal with certain ancestors and actually work with their spirit directly and recreate that event for them. But coming back to the what is God question, you can get into that analysis that God got lost amongst us all to create, to experience. And then through a long, gradual process, we come back to a knowing, come back to a oneness, come back to a connection with each other, knowing that we're all one. So we're definitely getting there. And it's an amazing thing as we all start to catch up and to see each other, to see that we're all the same, we're all learning, and to give to other people and realize that we're just giving to ourselves. So giving and receiving are the same thing. This is in the law of one. Teaching and learning are the same thing. As you teach, you learn. As you give, you receive, because we're all one. But I think the what is God question is interesting in the sense that it's not really a solution-based problem. If you look at the question as a problem, what's the answer to this problem? Not really solution-based. Often the masculine mind, okay, we're going to find a solution to this problem, and that's just ridiculous, really, because everyone's right. But perhaps the answer to this question can be described in a sensation, an experience, as opposed to words and symbols and analysis. If you get a lotus, and I mean like a proper lotus, like a pink Chinese lotus, a lot of people have never smelt or seen a lotus before, so it's really nice getting a lotus and getting people to smell it. And you get that lotus, and you really get your face in it, like you really feel it on your face and the smell, and you really take its essence in. And as you do that with intention, you feel the lotus go right down to your toes. And it's that sensation, that full, deep, lush experience. I think that's a better description via the experience on what God could be.